If you want to see more videos and interviews like this from influential people in tech, finance, and sports, subscribe to the channel and make sure you hit the bell to be alerted. And go a step further and join the YouTube membership area for early releases of videos like this. I'm out of here. Ha! Yeah, it's your boy Crypto Blood, and welcome to another Kicking It session. Today I've got c.j.sapong, pro athlete. He plays for what, Chicago, what is it called? Fury? Fire?
Chicago Fire.
Chicago Fire, Chi-Town in the building. What's going on, bro? Thanks for coming on. I appreciate you taking the time to kick it with me.
Yeah, no doubt. Thanks for inviting me on, man.
Yeah, I'm not a soccer player or I don't follow any of football or anything like that, so you have to forgive me. But I was told by someone that's a good friend of mine in the crypto space to have you come on. So John Kim, that's my man. So
yeah,
shout out to him. Yeah.
Yes.
So tell the audience a little bit about yourself. You play in the MLS. Tell us about that whole journey. How did you get to that point, man? Have you always been a soccer player? You've been in other sports? Give us kind of your background.
Yeah, bro. So it was fortunate for me that I had an upbringing. My family's from Ghana. And, growing up in this country, I was born here. I got into a lot of different sports growing up. I think I played basketball, baseball, and soccer up till I was like 15. But with soccer, with the fam being from Ghana, the motherland, that's what they grew up with. And that was where more of the energy came. They understood the game more. My father was in the backyard helping me refine my skills. And so that's what ultimately led to me choosing soccer. And I think as I grew, a mindset I kind of had was just to, maximize my potential. And it's great for me in this moment of my career, 10 years in, I came up. Yeah, man. And
that's a blessing, right? 10
years.
It's a blessing. How long is the average athlete, pro athlete career in soccer?
The average is probably like 6-7 years. You see guys that can hover around the 10 to 12 to 13 year range. It's all dependent on obviously how you take care of your body throughout, because soccer players put on a lot of mileage in comparison to other sports.
Yeah, I mean, y'all boys be out there playing for unlimited time. The clock start and it just go. Like, how does that whole thing work? Like, I'm not a big soccer fan. Don't know anything about it, bro. I played it as a kid in grade school. That's about it. So how does the whole situation go? Like, they hit the clock and it just runs until when?
Yeah, so you have two halves that are 45 minutes apiece, and you play that. It's a continuous clock. At the end of each half, there can be some what we call extra time, which is based on the amount of stoppages that happened throughout the game. Mm-hmm. And so a full game is going to run you 90 minutes. We're running about 10,000, 11,000, 12,000 meters a game, depending on your position. So, you're getting a good 2, 3, sometimes 4 or 5 miles again. Like, you have players in the midfield that are doing offense and defense. They're the ones that are going to put in the most work usually. So yeah, it's definitely takes some top conditioning.
Gotcha. Yeah, I know, man. I do know that much. You guys are straight up athletes out there running around all game and stuff, man. So, at what point did you know that you were gonna go pro? Like, what's the process for going pro in soccer? Is it the traditional, you play, high school, collegiate level, and then you go pro? How does it work in this game?
Yeah, soccer is different than, say, like basketball or football, where throughout high school you have a lot of scouts attending these games, and guys are getting basically signed right off the football field, right off the high school field. Soccer is more based on your club team, and your club team is very similar to AAU and basketball, right?
Gotcha.
It's select, You travel all around your region, sometimes the country, playing in tournaments, playing up against the best teams, and through that you have an opportunity to get seen and go pro, more so these days than when I was coming up. You know, we have 5 players that are between the ages of 16, 17, and 18 on our team.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But they got that opportunity through playing club soccer with the Chicago Fire's affiliate. So yeah, that's a smaller percentage of players that go that route, but mostly it's players that they play in high school, but they get into college. They hopefully are able to get exposure through that realm, and then they get drafted at the end of their career or at the end of their time in college to the corresponding team that chooses them. You know, me, I went to college for 4 years, 3.5 basically, and middle of my senior year, I was invited to the MLS Combine, which is not the same as like an NFL Combine. It's literally a bunch of scrimmages and maybe you do a 40 and like a vert. And from there, got drafted to Kansas City. That was in 2011. And shoot, since then, man, spent 4 years in Kansas City, 4 years in Philly. I've spent a year in Chicago up till now. And, you know, this is technically the second year, but clear, you know, obviously no games are being run right now. So
yeah, I know. We're going to get into the COVID thing, man. And, you know, I know your mother is on the front lines with the whole situation, and my wife is as well. So we're definitely going to talk about COVID. What's the numbers looking like for these pro athletes for MLS? Is it like the, you know, other pro sports, or how does that work?
So MLS is, well, so you have to understand the dynamics in play. There are players in MLS that make $5 million, $6 million, $7 million a year. But that's going to be the cap, you know, not like other sports where you can have guys making 30 mil in a season. But the difference with MLS is that the wealth disparity is really,
it's like America.
It's what just like America.
Okay, all right.
They just cut and pasted the whole plan. Put it over, because you got guys coming in, which is better now. You know, when you see growth, it's hard to understand where you are relative to other sports in this country. But you have rookies coming in making $70,000.
Okay.
You know? And that's good for a rookie coming out, depending on where they're living, especially after all this printing, you know, inflation. The money doesn't go as long as you.
Hell no, don't.
You know? And so for these kids, some kids come and they break into the starting lineup and have a strong impact. And then, you know, it's hard for them to be on the field next to a guy who's making $800,000. You know, and it's
man. So how does that play in the dynamic of the team cohesion? I would assume does that play a factor? What does the coaches make? How do the coaches? What do the coaches salaries?
I'm not really that sure on coaching salaries, but you know, with again, players probably definitely collectively make more than coaches. However, you know, when you're a coach, you got all the expenses, every flight's paid for, like, you know, that money goes longer than when you're a rookie player coming in and you got to pay for rent, you got to buy your own food, you got to figure out how to cook it, you got to take care of all these different life things, right? That doesn't really plague or stress the basketball player or the football player, because they could just pay somebody to do it, you know. So
interesting.
Yeah.
That's neat to know, man. Learn something new every day. That's definitely something I learned today. What about the overseas? Like, what leagues are overseas? Is there a one big conglomerate of a league overseas? I know it's way bigger overseas than
Yeah,
here in America.
yeah. There's a way broader market outside of the U.S. for soccer specifically, and again, the difference there is where in America, most of these sports, you're gonna have the top quality talent, the top players in the world playing, whereas with soccer, it's going to be the opposite. The
Mm.
top. Besides, recently MLS has been able to get some top quality players into the league. However, it's nothing compared to overseas. I mean, you have countries that have 30 teams that are the size of Texas. So when
Dang.
you just such a broader market, the the competition, the competitive aspect goes up, and then the money goes up too.
Okay. So you think MLS at some point will become a bigger league here in the United States, or do you think it's a culture difference that's kind of that barrier? What do you think?
I would have, if you asked me that 3 months ago, I would have said for sure. Um, Given the climate, it's hard to tell.
Gotcha.
MLS has a very different business model than other leagues. Most of their revenue is based on game day stuff. People buying beers, people paying for parking, tickets. That's where the bulk of the revenue comes. So if we can't find a way to get people in the stands, it's going to be an interesting future for MLS.
Wow, yeah. So let's talk about COVID, man. COVID-19. Man, this year has just been horrible, to be honest with you, man. I mean, we'll talk about this as well. I saw your tweet that you had with Kobe, the Black Mamba, his death. We got the COVID going on. Last year we had Nipsey die. Like, it's just, I don't know, man. Maybe I'm being pessimistic, but what's going on with COVID and the impact on the sports arena, especially
Yeah, I mean,
yours?
yeah. So it's all a microcosm of what's going on in the bigger picture. You're
Yeah,
having a situation that is throwing off the status quo of everybody's little bubbles of reality, man. And
exactly.
and while it's wild to me that we're in this position that we're talking about economics and health and really polarizing the two, but it's really apparent in all these little industries. With the sports, it's, yeah, they want players to be safe, but they got to make their money. So
Yep.
they're trying to find this middle balance, and I pray that it works out. But like you said, how 2020 been shaping up so far, I we would do ourselves justice to be in more of a preparatory position than we were before this all went down, and more of an adaptation mindset. You know,
Yeah. What's the silver lining out of this whole COVID situation, pandemic for you? What do you see the silver lining being either in your life or even broader for America, for the
oh man,
world?
all over, and all around. I'll start from inward to outward. For me, the ability to have time to pursue different dreams and visions I've had
Mm-hmm.
throughout my career that I more solidified in the last year or two. To have more time to focus on those projects has been a cheat code, really. Um, the amount that I've gotten done in these 2.5 months is, I don't know that I would have been able to do it throughout, the season and the demand that it brings. Also, in terms of the story, I'm someone that in life I really appreciate the essences, the subtleties, the poetic kind of manifestations of our experience. So with that, with my girl, well, my fiance now, she works in she's a front healthcare worker. My mother does, and in the first 2-3 weeks, man, I was stressed, I was anxious, I really
Who you
felt,
telling, bro?
man, but going through it and understanding the sacrifice that they're making for the betterment of people in a world and in a country where it seems like the people that essentially get paid to do that aren't. I feel part of the movement. I feel part of the healing process. I feel part of that um, group or that energy that is trying to make things better. You know, at this
Yeah.
point, it's really polarized. People are
I,
either
that,
making things
yeah,
worse
that's
or
what I want to comment on, man. Like the at least here in America, because that's where I live, we're making this a political issue. The virus don't care if you're a Republican or Democrat, red or blue. They don't care. The virus doesn't care, right? And but we're making it a political thing, and it is not, bro. And it pisses me off because, like you said, your fiance is on the front line. Your mom, my wife is on the front line. She's a pathologist, so she deals with all the different specimens and stuff, right? It pisses me off to see people online dismissing this virus, saying it's just a flu, saying it's all fake and it's 5G and all this, man. Like, how do you react to that, and what do you have to say to respond to those types of individuals?
and you know, so I've been trying to practice compassion. So it's been easier to kind of filter in and out those type of comments. Not everybody's as fortunate as me to have two members in their circle that are actually seeing it and actually dealing with death, dealing with sick or people that are seemingly healthy,
And
asymptomatic,
young,
and
and
then
young.
and young, right?
Yep.
Especially when, you know, we can go on that for days, but we sat in our couches in our houses and watched these figureheads talk about this and tell us that, and oh, you ain't gotta worry, you ain't gotta worry. Now look at us. So the fact that we continue approaching it the same way is like, do we not learn? But like I said previously, it is an opportunity. I call it a separation of densities, right? In the last 2 to 3 years, you've seen society just really start splitting. And that's the complete opposite of what we preach and keep saying we're reaching for. So at some level, something's got to give, right? And I think that's the bigger picture dynamic that's at play. And this virus, like, you don't need it. You don't really need to know the specifics of it to see that it's affecting people and to see that people are dying and to see that it's anomalous and the way it moves through people and how it stays dormant for 2 weeks. That's some pretty sinister shit, bro. Like the way that it's
Yeah,
moving like it's trying to be deceptive. Like it's
like it was bioengineered.
like it, you see, I didn't want to say it, but
Oh, come on,
yeah,
dog. We having that conversation.
exactly. You know, it doesn't fit the normal build of all these other viruses. And there's, you know, one thing that I will give to that community that calls it hoax and this and that and the other, in their own exploration, they've learned that they shouldn't just take what is being told
Right.
as truth.
I
And
agree with that.
yeah, you know, and whatever their conclusion that they find down that road, the more people start taking the journey, the better. And then hopefully we can move to a space where we really discern in the right way this information that we're taking in, and also like think about how you project it, bro. That's the
Have
next
some
thing.
empathy. That's what I've learned in this whole thing since COVID started. I talked to my wife, and actually last night we talked about this. I was like, you know what? You know what I realized from this whole situation, just observing individuals' response to this virus, they lack empathy. You know, just because they haven't gone through it or anyone near them hasn't been affected directly, they act like it's just, they don't even care. They really don't even care. So they want to get back to normalcy. They want to get back to the old world. And I'm not saying the world is ending. I don't think it's ending at all. I think we'll probably get some type of pharmaceutical, therapeutic type of treatment here in the next 6 months or so that will greatly decrease the mortality rate. But life is probably going to be a new world after this. Financially, from us bringing a lot of stuff back home to the United States from China, that's structurally changed for, I think, for generations now. And I think that's a good thing. But Yeah, man, that's the thing that I kind of grabbed from it is that Americans, and again, I can only talk for America, and what I observe here is that we lack the empathy, man. We have no empathy, it seems, at least in this situation.
Oh yeah. And I mean, to be fair, there's people that have empathy, that have compassion. It's just that they're not the ones that we get to see
That's
on the
probably
TV
true.
every day.
Yeah, the more
They're not the
vocal
ones.
ones are. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
they're not the ones that are holding the press conferences and making these new movements. It just seems it's eerie, bro, because the sentiment that's being projected onto the people is that, yeah, like, who cares? Like, it'll get dealt with. Get back to work. Get back to work. Keep making that money. Make your little living, man. Don't worry about trillions of dollars that businesses are getting, and they might fire you anyway. But just don't worry. We'll get back.
Mm-hmm.
We'll get back to normal soon. Like, come on, it's not going back to normal. And
Nah,
that
we're past that. We're past that point, in my opinion. So I think at this point we need to just try to, preserve life. Because business we can always rebound from and grow from, and rebuild to a level that was somewhat beforehand. What's the situation in Chicago with COVID, and what are you seeing on ground there? What are
yeah.
your mother and fiance saying?
Well, so my mother and fiance, they're both in different places. My mom's in Virginia,
Okay.
fiance in Oxnard, California, about an hour up the coast from LA. And I mean, it's deceptive because in LA, like, the hospitals aren't even really ran through because of all these restrictions. There's not as many people in the hospital, but the cases keep going up, slowly
Mm.
going up. And then what's really getting freaky is like how did somebody stay in quarantine for 2 months and then they come out and they still have coronavirus?
Yes.
Technically, it should have gone, or in that time, everybody that had it should have, either known they had it and gone to get some help, or know that they didn't have it. But
Yeah. Yeah. My aunt, my wife's aunt was was still positive the last time she was tested to try to go back to work. Was still positive after 6 weeks. So, but the thing is, we don't know. Is it because the virus is just still shedding in her blood, but she's not contagious, or is it that she's still contagious and shedding it? Like, no one knows. But the test came back still positive 6 weeks later. This is stuff that I don't know. Maybe some people don't realize is happening. It's really going down.
yeah, and going back to what you say, that's how you know this thing. I won't. While I believe the virus is real, I do also understand that powers that be would always use an opportunity to
Absolutely.
utilize what's
Yes.
going on, to their benefits.
Don't let a good crisis go to waste, is what they say.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
So that's where there's nothing. Anybody can speculate as much as they want right now, but we're 3.5 months into this thing. We're not gonna know anything concrete, solid for at least a year.
Yep.
So we just running around with our heads cut off right now, worried about things that don't really matter. And if we're not careful, we're gonna come up out of this. I won't say worse off as a nation, but worse off as individual people, because we'll be so distraught and people will rush back into whatever the normalcy is, and will almost kind of overindulge in going back to a routine,
Mm-hmm.
and now I think that in this time, people are realizing that routine might have not been giving them all the fulfillment that they wanted. They didn't have as much time for themselves, for their family. So it's gonna be tough.
Yo, I have to agree with you, man. I would say when we were on lockdown, I'm here in Michigan. When we were on full lockdown, I had the opportunity to start I call my mom more, call my dad more. Every day I'm calling them, and it just made me realize like I'm not doing that. I wasn't doing that prior to. I should have been doing that before this happened.
Mm-hmm.
Should have been going to visit them before this happened, And so that's been something I'm, doing more as we kind of start to lift the restrictions. I'm making sure I'm doing that more often, man. What do you think COVID, as far as sports? I want to just kind of touch up on that one before we move on, man. Sports and COVID. I hear that some of these other leagues like NFL, NBA, or at least NFL is looking to possibly start playing, I think, without fans. And I heard some other leagues as well. What does that do to an athlete, though? I feel like that X factor of a fan or a crowd cheering you on or a crowd booing you while you're at the free throw line, that X factor isn't there anymore. So is it even worth it? Should they even be doing it?
I would say with professional athletes, they're built. We are built for competition. So especially with NFL, NBA, when they all know they're on TV anyway. They don't have the fans to gloat towards, but at the end of the day, they still fighting for a championship, which is money. They still fighting for wins, which is money. So they'll be out there still getting after it. Now, I do foresee some situations where you'll have guys that are like, nah, I just don't feel safe, which will cause, all types of controversy. And then you'll have guys that aren't as competitive. There's definitely going to be those types. And that's just what we're going to have to deal with. I don't think there's going to be any fans in any stadiums for the rest of this year. And then moving forward, it's not going to, how can you say wholeheartedly that you've taken the proper protocol to have 60,000 fans come sit shoulder to shoulder in a game before there's a vaccine, which I don't know that everybody's going to want to take that.
I ain't taking it. I ain't even lie to you, bro.
I don't want to take it.
I'm not. Yeah.
So it's going to be very, very, very different. Some league XFL is already done. They stopped for 3 weeks and they're like, yeah, we know we're not coming back.
And then they filed for bankruptcy. They're done.
Yeah. So we gonna see.
Yeah, we shall see. Let's talk about from football to philanthropy. Tell me about this Sacred Seeds campaign you got running right now, brother. Sounds pretty good, man. What gave you the idea and the vision to go after something like this? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so the vision came from my own personal experience with injuries and ailments and continuously being fed, the prescriptions and taking the steroid shots. And, I suffered a pretty serious injury 2014 where I herniated a disc in my lower back. I bulged a disc in my neck. And then I also had like a cervical nerve nutrient deficiency, my C3, C4. So that was leading to misallocated pain. So, I could get a knee to the thigh and then I would feel it in my left shoulder, and as I was going through that, I realized I wasn't getting better and I kept trying to push through it. And so I just got on the Google, man, right? Mm-hmm. Started researching. First, I found all these supplements that I just started taking, big old handfuls in the morning. But it was messing with my body's chemistry, right? Because I wasn't taking it with food. I wasn't getting that nutrition in my food. So once I looked into that a little bit more, I found a couple little, these things called microgreens that you can grow on your kitchen counter. They take about 10 to 14 days to harvest. And I originally just used them to throw in my smoothie to add, a little bit of a nutritional benefit. And once I started actually growing the food, feeling it, I'm talking to the plants, driving home from practice, like with my plants on my mind. It really changed my perspective on nature, which I always was connected to nature before then, but to interact with a plant and grow it and know that it's going to be grown to benefit your being, on a physical and a mental and a spiritual level. Once I felt that empowerment, I knew that was what I want. I always knew I wanted to give back in some sort of way. And once I felt that experience, I knew that was the avenue to do so.
Nice. That's what's up, man. So, guys, you can get over there to thesacredseeds.org to check that out. And he also accepts crypto. That's what's up. So, speaking of crypto, I guess we can talk about that, man. The whole crypto thing. What got you into crypto, and what year did you get into it, man? When did you start getting on the crypto wave?
Yeah. So, what got me into crypto? Yeah, this is a funny ass story, man. So 2014 or 2013, moving to 2014, I was driving back from Kansas City to Virginia. I'm getting my years mixed up. This was 2015. Yeah.
Okay.
2015. I'm driving back from Kansas City to Virginia. I'm driving through the boonies, man.
Mm-hmm.
I'm somewhere in Indiana, and like I gotta get some gas, and you already know for brothers.
Come on, dog. You ain't even gotta say a word.
I pulled into this thing. I was like, all right, we just go get this gas.
This guy was in Get Out.
Yeah. And as soon as I start pumping my gas, like I just see a guy. He looks. I don't know the dude's name, but King of the Hill, the dad.
Yeah.
Yo, my man, like short.
Did he have a corn stock? Did he have the weed? The weed in the little joint? Yeah.
Yo. And he just starts walking up, and mind you, so I had my dogs with me too. So I had one on the leash, like over in a grassy area, and I see him walking over, and I don't know why, but I was just like, let me just hurry up and try and get out of here. Before I could even move, my man came up to me and said, "Hey man, I don't usually do this, but my friend told me about something, and I think he's on to something." I was like, okay, all right, like what? He was like, this here Bitcoin. Now it's I don't really understand a lot about it, but here's his card. And he gave me the card, and it was literally like a card for local Bitcoins. So I'm like, all right.
Okay,
cool.
wait a minute, bro. Okay. What made him walk up to? Were you in the Ferrari? Were you in the Lambo? What did you pull up in, bro? He had to for some reason.
Now that you mention it, maybe because at that time I had like a custom Mercedes Benz C300, like black vinyl top, 5%.
Okay, yeah. You look like an athlete. That's what you in his mind immediately.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. And man, I remember, I took it and I went and I looked at it. I don't remember what the price was at that time, but I do remember that the fact that, that was before Coinbase. That was before. So on local Bitcoin, it was like, yes, send me this money. I'm going to send you this digital currency.
Mm-hmm.
And in my head, I'm like, boy, you must be crazy. You think I'm about to send you somebody? I'm like, yeah, he tried it. Yeah, right. Tossed his card to the wayside, went about my life. About a year later, towards the end of 2016, it pops up again. And I remember the joint was like $500. And I'm looking, I'm like, all right, $500. Because, in that time, my mindset was based on like traditional markets. And I'm looking at this, price per stock, basically. I'm like, $500. I'm like, I got
what I could do with 500? Right.
Yeah, So I literally, the next best thing that you had Ethereum and you had Litecoin. Litecoin was $10 at the time. Mm-hmm. So I bought hella Litecoin. I bought a good amount of Ethereum, and I bought like one Bitcoin. And bruh, that was end of 2016 going into 2017. And I got really lucky. Everything just shot up, bull run for the next year. And so through a lot of misallocated funds and a a wide-eyed, relatively new person into the crypto space, I just started taking profits, putting them into these new projects, that new project, then the altcoins cycle went to, and these cryptocurrencies, they had amazing vision, right? Amazing ideas. And personally, I was like, all right, yeah, that's a solid idea. But nobody could have, estimated all the different things from regulatory.
No one could have, bro. I've been in the space for a long time. When it's new to everyone. That whole concept of ICOs was new to everyone. So, yeah, it was no way to know that was going to happen and turn out the way it did,
Exactly. And fortunate for me, I actually got into hardware wallets, and through all of this, I got to learn a little bit more about the technology, and I really started realizing that, okay, long term, this is something that I think will definitely provide it will be a difference maker for me. And so I got a hardware wallet. I literally lost that joint for like a year. And then once I got back to Virginia in an off season, open it up, I'm like, oh snap, I got a little bit in here. And at this point, I knew a little bit more about the space, but I still was just overzealous, I would say, because while I'm still in the green, but my percentage of gains decreased so much from me learning, which now I'm happy that it happened that way, because where we are today and the way things are moving in society, and Bitcoin, really showing its strength throughout all these different things that have been happening. I'm really excited about being more smart with my investments, and I'm excited about the space, right? It's pretty cool. We just linked through a mutual friend who essentially just hypes up the space. John Kim, that guy. He's smart too. He knows the shit, but he brings a swag and a pizzazz to the space that gets you excited about it. And when I'm watching, podcasts or reading articles, I have an excitement when I'm approaching it. And you don't see that in a lot of different sectors or industries today.
You don't see that in this space that often either. So it's great to have a John Kim type of personality in this space, because it's been so much tribalism, and it's gotten worse over the years, even from when I started going through 2016 into 17, when people started getting bags, people's incentives started aligning with certain projects, and then that tribalism started and separating people. And it's a lot of that going on, man. So it's great to see people like him in the space, making it fun, you know what I'm saying, and making it a little bit lighter. And that's how it should be, man, because we scare a lot of people away. Like non-coiners, we scare a lot of people away, a lot of non-coiners away, because of our attitude in this space in many cases.
Oh yeah,
man.
and I see it just on, like, for me, social media, for instance. Like, as much as I would like to tweet and post whatever I want, I still am an employee of the Chicago Fire.
Right.
And it's interesting. When I first started tweeting about crypto, like, they couldn't really tell me anything, because it's not like it was a controversial topic that was, political or anything like that. But they kind of told me, hey man, we need to see you in a jersey and, talking about your training regimen, whatever. And so when I first got into it, I shied away. I kind of just did more research. And personally, when it comes to social media, I recognize how, if you aren't careful, it can be either a tool or a weapon.
Sure.
So I'm rediscovering how to utilize it more as a tool, and and through that, I have been able to empower myself through linking up with people like you, talking about things that interest me, but also empower other people by just speaking my truth.
Right.
And at this time in my career, I've been in this game for 10 years. I've got a pretty good rapport with, a lot of members, whether it's players, coaching staff, front offices all around the league, just from different things I've done and, you know, different appearances and speaking engagements. And I think once they got to see me and know me and know I wasn't some like wild hair dude that's over here basically.
You got some sense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
And obviously, once I did that, it was more welcomed, and now people ask me questions on it, and you know, are way more inquisitive than before.
Yeah, that's good. We need more people like that in the space. I want to talk about Black Mamba, man. I saw you put a tweet up a while back. I guess you guys were out in Cali visiting. Tell us about your experience meeting Kobe Bryant, the late great Kobe Bryant, man.
Man, surreal, very surreal. He's somebody that I was always a fan of, but there were other fans I had over him, which almost is crazy as a fan, right? Because you can almost undermine people who are extremely talented, just because they ain't wearing the color of, you know, team that you want. And so going into this, I was like excited, but I wasn't, you know, like all head over heels. But then like when I got there and I saw him, and he was just the demeanor, the nonverbal cues, it really showed he was out there on his accord and he was excited about it. And, you know, it was interesting, the setup, because I was there for MLS's media day. And so they had, you know, marketing, their like top marketing prospects from each team there. And like you see in that picture, like only two of the people in that, not three, only three of those people like spoke fluent English. Everybody else had very broken English or only spoke Spanish. Or
Kobe spoke Spanish, didn't he? Or
he can
Italian?
Understand, he could speak, yes, for sure. But those guys, you know, they weren't really willing to go up to him and start speaking Spanish.
Gotcha.
It was me and my other homie, Alejandro Bedoya. He plays for Philly. I used to play with him. You know, he came, he brought a jersey, and Kobe, obviously being from Philly, they took a little picture, and like, I just know, because I'm an athlete too, like sometimes you take the picture, you keep it moving, you know? But I remember just observing and seeing how after they took the picture, they just talked for a good 4 or 5 minutes. I was like, oh, okay, cool. Like, this dude, he's chill. And I remember like, this is when I started getting nervous, because I'm like, yo, I know he was working on setting up an empire, you know, and he had his hands in a lot of different things, and he was very forward thinking and developing self-sufficiency moving forward. And I remember I just asked him, I was like, man, you living, aren't you? You living. And it's just crazy saying that now, because I'm like, damn, like, obviously I didn't know he was going to be gone, but like, that was literally what I said. I was like, you just living, man. It's like, yeah, bro, I mean, you know, it feels great to like not have that stupid like pressure on you every day to like be better. He's like, now I just want to be better for my family. And like, while basketball helped me like get that, like you realize like what's really important. And I mean, he's just talking about soccer, talking about, you know, when he was out in Italy. And you know, it was wild. Like everybody there was like, this man, CJ, what you over there giving him a business proposal or something?
Right.
But yeah, man, he was just so down to earth and really inspired me, probably beyond any other athlete, whether I was a fan of them, any other athlete that I've encountered in that probably 7 total minutes of actually talking to him, just from his humility and his forward thinking, you know,
man, it's so sad, man. And it really, when that happened, bro, I'm not the type that am necessarily shocked when celebrities die, because celebrities are human, just like us. People die every day. They do, right? But it's sometimes it comes home to a mass group of people when it's a celebrity, right? It hurts more people. They're no more important than you or I as far as life, but they are more important as far as perception in society, right? And how it impacts. So it was just messed up, man, and it just made me think like life is just so short. You don't know when you're gonna go. You gotta just live it to the max. Do as much as you can. Be as impactful as you can. What kind of lessons did you learn through that tragedy?
Yeah. So all that, life is short. Life is finite. But the main thing is, building generational wealth that's infinite. That's infinite. I was synchronistically already kind of on that tip and looking into it. So to have him kind of just put that cherry on top, it really motivated me. And I mean, even till this day right now, like I wake up and I have just this like inspiration and motivation to create an empire, to create general wealth, to bring prosperity and empowerment and potential maximization to my loved ones, to the world, the earth, all these things. And it's crazy because to think he would have such an effect. It's actually taking me talking to you about this right now to really understand the gravity of it, because I easily could just be another athlete that tries to get their money, and maybe after I'm done playing, somebody will just give me a job and go about it kind of just like half-assed
Traditional route.
Yeah, but to have this like palpable buzzing energy based off of knowing I'm gonna build something that my kids will be able to enjoy in some way, shape or form is a beautiful thing, man.
Yeah, no doubt. That kind of segues me into my last little point that I want to talk about today: life after soccer. Like, what are your plans, man? What are your ambitions, for the future?
Yep. So obviously you build an empire, you got to have multiple silos that are self-sustainable and self-sufficient in their own way. I know through financial, business, and educational goals that I've set for myself, I envision myself working in some type of athlete lifestyle management and marketing. And then also within sustainability and developing sustainable communities, looking at circular economies, looking at circular agriculture, alternative energy systems. These are the things that I get lost in every day. And my goal is to marry all those things and have one big conglomerate that is just running smoothly and continuing to not only be sustainable in its own right, but to bring value to all people around me, and maximize their potential. For sure.
Yeah, no, that's word up, man. I like that. And any last words? Appreciate this convo, man. This kicking session was excellent. Definitely gonna have to have you back on because I want to talk Ghana. It's a lot of business opportunities over there, I'm hearing. So I want to get you back on to talk about Ghana.
We need to talk then. That's
Let's talk. Any last words though for today, bro?
Nah, man. Just appreciate you having me on. I know it was hard for us to kind of link and get this set up. It's wild being quarantine. You actually can't get busier, but I'm glad we were able to get on. And for real, it's been a good therapeutic session for me too.
What's up?
It's always cool to just talk about stories and how we get to our positions and how we're going to utilize that to move forward. So respect.
No doubt. Another kick in the session with my man c.j.sapong. Make sure you guys hit that like button, share, subscribe, and we will catch y'all later. I'm out of here. Holla. Jury in the safe on arrival, pistol.